Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Been a couple of days instead of our usual week. Congratulations once again to Max for winning Funky Films the other day.
Thank you
Always,
very much.
always fun playing that
Mm.
game. And I got 900 points this time, so
You're
that
gonna
was
get
that was
there.
fun.
One day.
One day. So we're back reviewing a movie tonight. It's a Netflix film that has been out for a couple weeks now. They Cloned Tyrone, or as it probably should have been called, They Cloned Fontaine.
Mm.
Or perhaps they cloned older Fontaine.
He cloned FN2187.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, FN like Fontaine.
There you go.
Oh my God.
That's
Wow.
oh, it's brilliant.
Oh my
That's
All
God.
right.
brilliant.
They cloned Tyrone. What'd you guys think? This was a
Mm.
fun one. Unexpectedly fun, I think.
Mhm.
Kind of snuck up on me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot. Um, I'll get my main criticism out of the way. There's about three scenes in the beginning that are just lit to the point that you can't see anything.
Mm.
Um, Other than that, the lighting was fine. Even when they go in the lab, it's dark there. But yeah, they really something was screwed up there because
Yeah.
it's not
There,
good.
there, there were definitely a few like
Like
scenes.
what is that? It's like Game of Thrones uh
Season 8, yeah.
battle, yeah,
Mm.
for people that know
Mhm.
that.
There you go. Yeah, but
But other than that, I mean, I think the idea was really fun. You know, it sort of reminded me a lot of Jordan Peele stuff. Like there's a lot of
Mhm.
us probably in this one.
Mhm.
Um and it also it gave me like a lot of vibes. I mean, clearly they're inspired by like black exploitation, like the 70s,
Mhm.
given like Slick Charles and things
Yeah.
like that. I
Mhm.
mean, it's straight of like Shaft or whatever. Hey, hey,
Mhm.
hey, that's not for you. No. Good Lord. It's trying to bite my wires.
Special guest Maggie.
Um, but the other thing that I really thought was interesting is there's a few like 80s films that I thought that sort of reminded me of like Society and They
Mhm.
Live, which sort of take the idea of like this invisible ruling class to the next level, sort of like this.
Mhm.
But it's got those like ridiculous sci-fi vibes to it, you know. They're never really explaining anything too much. It's just this is this is happening.
Uh,
And they live, there's aliens that are actually like um
Yeah, it
a lot
was.
of the elite people.
I just want to respond to something that you said quickly, Ben, and then I'll defer to the other guys here. But when you talk about being evocative of some 80s films, I 100% agree. And perhaps there's no better example of that in this film than the quality of the picture almost felt like a film from 30 or 40 years ago. Like
mhm.
there was something.
Yeah,
I don't
they
know if
it
it
had
was
it had
the frame rate or the texture of the cinematography
mhm.
where it had that distinctive like
Film
80s
great. Yeah.
film quality.
Yeah, no,
So
I
yeah,
think
it felt like I was watching a movie from a while ago. Just cool.
yeah, yeah. I think I got to give him credit for that. It's very easy when doing like an 80s style thing and adding like film grain to just kind of make it look like I mean not like cheap, but like clearly made today with like an 80s filter put over it or something like that. In this instance though, I think they did a good job
I think that
with
they must have, I mean, they definitely could have done something with the texture of the film, but I think the thing that really sells it is like the aesthetic to everything, you know. He's
yes.
driving like an old what is that, 70s, 80s
Mm-hmm.
Cadillac or whatever.
Yeah, I think something
I
like
can't
that,
remember
yeah.
which car it was, but you got that, you got like the entire look of Slick Charles is straight out from the 70s. Um
Slick
Fontaine
Charles and
is
Yo-Yo to an extent.
Mm-hmm. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
and Yo-Yo too. I mean a lot of that like the entire thing that they're doing there like in the the Royale or whatever. I mean, that's straight up like a 70s, 80s, movie.
Mhm.
They just existed. Um, but I guess that's sort of the idea to juxtapose to like the reveal, which is these futuristic experiments. It's like you don't really know, I guess, what the hell is going on. Like I don't even know. Are they supposed to be like modern or
They
it's a weird thing.
reference the 90s.
Yeah, yeah. There are a few modern pop culture references, though I think
Yes.
it's supposed to be kind of
Well, it's sort of
confusing.
no, I meant more like a Fontaine. Is this like the the time that like Fontaine would have been this age? Did he set it like this, or are they
Mm,
free to like leave and go? I couldn't really tell about that. I
mm,
think the only other criticism I would have is the they sort of like leave things a little too open-ended in some areas, but
mm.
it's not the biggest deal.
How do you mean?
It doesn't quite execute like the ending, I feel like. Um,
I do think there were some issues with the ending to an extent. Not that like we were sort of like talking about it after I had watched it, and like once when I first saw the film, I feel like there was like a parts of the ending, like the grand master plan that's been revealed. I like sort of like didn't understand, and that might have been me, but I kind of felt like the
I
film
I
rushed
understood it.
through it.
Well, I understood the idea. I just thought it was a little too
Hmm.
simple. Like
Yeah.
for everything they set up, um, it is a little too much of like a just a 1-2 punch, there's not much to it. Which doesn't
Hmm.
mean that it like I think it probably hurts the film, but it doesn't really make the film unenjoyable. Like
No,
obviously
no.
this film is not trying to like do anything crazy. It obviously has something to say, but the sci-fi plot is there more of it as a vehicle. But I still
Hmm.
think they could have done a better execution. Yeah, we already
Yeah.
got this with damn Lightyear, and
Yeah.
we've gotten this many times before. It's a little bit too contrived these days.
This
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
better than Lightyear.
Yes, of course, it was
That I
better
do
than
agree.
Lightyear, but my point is that it's a
No, but
contrived
we all drew that
plot point,
comparison though.
huh?
We all drew that comparison. Like
Yeah.
it's I mean, Lightyear was what, a year ago, a year and change?
Hmm.
And,
Yes. Yeah.
you know, it's still somewhat fresh in all of our minds, no matter how much Declan has tried to purge it. And we end up in a situation where we see a similar sort of plot point come through, and yeah, it's gonna feel similar.
Mhm.
Well, there was that, and then there's the whole plot of just making black people white over
Yeah.
generations.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is just like reverse Get Out.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I like the one thing I would say about the film is I do kind of feel like this is an instance of I enjoyed the film too as well, to be clear. It's an instance where I kind of feel like the cast help like elevate the plot rather than like,
I think
the
Absolutely.
plot.
I
Yeah,
think the
and
cast, the whole thing, like what I said, the aesthetic. I mean, the
mm,
soundtrack, obviously very evocative of like black exploitation films. There's more modern like hip hop and stuff, but there's old school like funk. You got Michael
mm,
Jackson there. Also, I thought Michael Jackson was hilarious, given what
mm,
happened.
yeah.
They make a point of when that happened.
Mm, mm, yeah, yeah.
But
It was an
I have
obvious
to imagine.
move. They did it well.
Yeah, I have to imagine that was intentional. Um, but yeah,
Did
I mean, I
any
think everything works together really well. The writing is
Mm,
tight. So like the ending is just one part of a movie. And this
mhm.
is not one of those movies that's like the twist is the entire thing.
Yeah.
So a bad twist is not, like sympathy for the devil. It's like the
Hmm.
entire thing was a twist and the twist was terrible.
but
The entire thing here is not the twist.
I'm gonna bring up
Hmm.
another movie that this movie reminded me of that has sort of that twist moment. Has everyone here seen Sorry to Bother You?
I've seen it.
Sorry. Which one is that?
2018, Lakeith Stanfield.
Oh,
He's
oh
like,
yeah. No, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that movie, the twist at the end where they're turning into fucking horse people fucked
God.
me up.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, it's a completely different movie for the first 2 hours, or not 2 hours, but for the first 2 acts. Then the twist happens, and it's a completely different, like, body horror movie for the last 30 minutes.
Mm.
And what this film does really well, that I think, and sorry to bother you, my Letterboxd score aside, because of how jarring that twist was, it's a well-made film.
Mm.
This film doesn't rely as heavily on its twist as Sorry to Bother You does. It doesn't rely on that sort of, not so much other shoe dropping, but we're going to drop an entire Payless shoes
Yeah.
on the audience.
Mm.
So we get a, you know, reasonable twist that works within
Mm.
the story, and yet it doesn't undercut anything that's been presented in the first 2 acts. It really,
Hmm.
it may have been a little underwhelming with it just being an older Fontaine who was the original, but at the same time, we get something that is really, really well put together and makes sense within the context of what we've been shown in this world so far.
Mm. Yeah, I think I have like the use of a twist can sometimes like mess with my like opinion of a film. Like I remember like even though I had no reason directly to, I felt a certain degree of slight spoilers of disappointment when I saw Nope in theaters because of the fact that basically I was expecting some sort of twist around. I'll keep it vague, just I don't in case you ever see it, George. There were I was expecting a twist around certain elements of the plot, like it's somehow factoring into the wider story, and that didn't happen. And that actually made me feel a little disappointed. It's not the film's fault, but it was something I
Well, yeah,
noticed
you
about it.
you
And
know my
so,
opinion of Nope. I mean, I feel like Nope is designed around like teasing a twist and not having it. Not like
mm,
they failed to give a twist. It was like the entire point.
yeah,
Um,
I can,
Whereas this one, I just think it's just not a great twist. I mean, there's
yeah.
nothing more to it. I think that I don't want to say it really hurts the film, but I think it does hurt some ideas in the film by
Mm,
contriving it and bringing it back to Fontaine as a clone.
yeah.
I mean, I get it. I just think it doesn't hit you as hard as anything. Like, I mean, it
At
doesn't really
the
have much to say at the end.
at the very least, they should have somehow implied that Fontaine, like the Fontaine that we know, has at least some interest in science or something like that. Like that, I feel like because
I
or
I think it's not about the science aspect. It's about
mm,
like the social commentary and stuff, and it's a very bland point for.
yeah.
I feel like a lot of the things that they do earlier in the film are much better social commentary
Mhm.
than just
Yeah, I think,
becoming Booker T. Washington 2.0 or something.
Yeah.
yeah, what we see from Fontaine, Fontaine as we see him through the film, our Fontaine, for lack of a better
Mhm.
phrase, uh, is, he makes several references and drops several hints towards his late brother.
Mm.
And I think what we see from the original older Fontaine is that his pursuit of the experimentation on the Black community of the Glen is not so much an interest and pursuit of science, it's an interest and pursuit in preventing what happened to his brother to everyone else.
Mhm.
Assimilation over annihilation is what he says, or I'm paraphrasing
Yeah,
it here.
it's
Yeah.
just a contrived point because there's literally the Holocaust. It's like there's plenty of Jews who they didn't need to change their skin. They just needed to change religion. Plenty of them didn't. They would rather
Yeah.
die as a
Mm.
Jew. It's like I get it, but it's just not a very good
Profound.
point for the level of commentary that they were putting in like earlier on.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
I
I
just
think
realized like they make a great, tons of great points about capitalism and stuff. That's very similar to like They Live. It's
mm,
like all the products that are being mind controlled. They Live
mm,
is essentially like the media and everything is mind controlling you.
yeah. Though
Um,
I will say this, just a quick point since we've
yeah,
been
yeah,
criticizing the film. One scene I gotta give like massive credit to. It's like in especially in terms of, show don't tell storytelling, is like the scene where Fontaine meets again with the kid who was talking about SpongeBob in the first scene, like the second scene where they meet together, and like realizing that like that's the scene where Fontaine decides he is going to pursue this to the end and try to uncover and stop this whatever this grand conspiracy from happening, because he realizes that this kid reminds him of his brother, and that he should fight for him. I thought that was like, a brilliant, like, John Boyega. A lot was managed to be conveyed in that without necessarily a whole lot being directly said to the audience, and I thought that was a great
yeah.
scene.
Well,
Actually, I think that's last thing just to tag on to John Boyega. I think he's really good in this film, but I also feel like the material doesn't let him be enough. Like he doesn't really get to have as much
He's
uh
very stoic.
emotional variety as I feel like he should. I mean,
Yeah.
I get it, but he can have a little bit more emotion. I mean, even Slick Charles is like, he's laughing.
when
well,
when when the Chester wait, I just gotta quickly say, when the Chester version of him first appeared, like, with him in the suit, I like legit was like, are they doing a joke about Tenet there? I don't think so, but
In
like
the
I
suit,
like
I swear it kind of looked like what is it, John David Washington.
yeah, like I kind of felt like they were
He had the
doing.
same facial hair and everything.
Yeah. It was the facial hair and the suit made me wonder, and so just the
I don't think
fact
they were
that,
doing a Tenet thing, but
yeah,
yeah.
like him being so stoic throughout the film. It just like it was
Oh,
like,
that part. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, sorry, as you were saying, George.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. That's not what I got at all.
No,
Uh, but yeah, I mean
I'm not
that's
saying like a wider point, just like were they intentionally making him look like him in
I
that?
don't think so. I think it just reminded me of him just
Mm,
of the facial hair. He had the
yeah,
same
yeah,
haircut.
that's true. It is probably just
uh
coincidence.
so yeah, I was literally just gonna segue into talking about the cast. The chemistry here between John Boyega, Jamie Foxx, and Tiana Paris
Mm,
is off the charts. They
mm,
are playing off each other just ridiculously well from the first interaction that each of these characters has with the others to, setting off towards Memphis at the end of the film.
mm,
So, John Boyega, let's start with him because you guys were just talking about him. You know, he is a little bit less emotional than the other two lead characters anyway. Sort of steps into more emotional moments, but largely plays the straight man here. So Max,
mm.
let's go over to you. What do you think of John Boyega here?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last thing we saw him in was Hostage or whatever that bank one.
Breaking.
Breaking.
Yeah,
Well,
Breaking,
yeah,
breaking.
yeah, that was his thing. Yeah.
I think that's the last thing we saw him in.
Mm,
And I mean, he was really good,
mm,
right? Like he was a little stoic. We did talk about that, but like I thought he was really great, and playing different versions too was
mm.
fascinating. Just seeing how he navigated that. I do want to talk a little bit about Jamie Foxx, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I
Sure,
think
segue.
I feel like he had so much fun with this role.
Yeah.
he did.
Um,
Mm,
like I feel like this was probably a lot of fun for him to do.
mm,
And credit to the writing for it being as quick and snappy as it was throughout the film. I thought it was really tight. But the delivery, he was gold. And it was nice to see Jamie Foxx.
I feel
Yeah,
like
the
it
scene
could
of
have been it could have been very easy for his character to become like annoying or something, like as you stay with him, and it may be like a touch, but I feel like Jamie Foxx genuinely was
He reminded me a
funny
lot
enough
of
and entertaining to like I enjoyed him
it
for
was a
the
bit like buddy cop, sort of film. But
can I hop on
I
that
don't
real
think
quick, Ben?
well,
Just real okay,
let me
go ahead.
just say what my comparison is.
Okay.
There's a movie called 48 Hours with
yeah.
Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's character is kind of like well, I mean, he's a pimp. He says that in the movie. That's from blaxploitation films.
Mm.
Or I mean, not the idea of a pimp, but like that look of a pimp.
Yeah.
Okay, not the not the actual profession, but
Blaxploitation films invented the concept of a
no,
pimp,
no,
Ben Green.
that's not what I meant. But yeah, okay. That was gonna be my comparison.
Yeah, I was gonna go in a slightly different direction there, even though it's entirely along the same lines. The you really get this from the first time, or I guess the second time the new Fontaine clone goes to um Slick Charles's hotel or motel room, and Slick Charles freaks out because he had just seen him shot dead the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, really evocative of The Nice Guys and the first interaction that we see between Ryan Gosling's character and Russell Crowe's character, where Russell Crowe just walks in and beats the shit out of Ryan Gosling's character. The Nice Guys, by the way, give it a fucking sequel.
Oh
It's
yes,
so good. Those characters and that world is so goddamn good. Give it a sequel, please.
Imagine I end every episode saying that. Just retroactively apply that to every episode, dear viewer.
So you're just gonna steal my line, dude? Not cool.
No. Oh no. I got caught in 4K.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, Max, what you were saying about how much fun Jamie Foxx has with this character. I'm gonna bring up No Way Home when he was playing Electro again and was basically just playing Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is a very funny guy. In his comedic acting and in his stand-up comedy, and even just in his interviews that he does when he's promoting a new film. He's a funny guy. And when he gets a chance to have fun with a character, he's put in a position where he gets to play to his strengths. And we really see that here when he's playing Slick Charles in all of these different situations.
Yeah. And
now,
also,
I mean, go ahead, Declan.
No, I wanted to, and I imagine you were about to. I wanted to segue to Paris as a yo-yo.
Yeah, Tiana Paris. The last time I saw her in something was WandaVision. A couple of years ago now, 2.5 years ago, I think, probably, since WandaVision was at its peak or at its height.
Yeah, it should be on the Marvels, right?
She will be in the Marvels. We'll talk about her again later this year when that movie comes out.
If it comes out.
If it comes out. So this character is completely different when we first meet her from Monica Rambeau. And yet by the end, when she's, sort of playing this hero type, you're like, all right, I sort of see a little similarity there. But again, just the amount of range that she has as an actress, and then to be able to play the character arc for Yo-Yo through this film. I mean, she carries every single scene she's in. She's tremendous.
Yeah, like I feel like she actually probably has the most subtlety and depth she's working with in that she's like the most, I think, experimented on. She's one of she's not a clone, but one of the regular people who is
a social
affected.
Experiment, you mean?
Yeah. Like a regular person who's been affected by all these various things and all that. And so it like
the hair products.
yeah, exactly. The hair products, the the fried chicken. It's like it's and you can sort of see it come out like at the beginning when she's sort of like semi like comically saying like, oh, I'm going to retire and leave, and like you know, Slick Charles is like, oh, you're not like actually it's like, oh, that's is that like the real her sort of like subconsciously trying to come out, like the her that was like really into Nancy Drew when she was young and all that. And so basically she's going on a like she's kind of like going through the most transformation in the film, because as like they're all uncovering this, it's like you start to see like this image of the sex worker like the classic image of the sex worker in blaxploitation like start to like fade away from her and like leave her, like, or not leave
She
her,
also,
but like
well, I mean, she reminds me of like other exploitation, or even like what is it, like Foxy Brown, what is this in Austin Powers, Foxy
Foxy
Cleopatra.
Cleopatra.
yeah.
But
Oh yeah, I think
they all have the afro. I think some of them even have like they show that it's a wig. But like that femme fatale, you know, blaxploitation uh character is very much, she gets to that at the end. She starts off as like a stereotypical like I guess sort of prostitute
yeah.
in between. And then yeah, by the end she's sort of like a femme fatale, because she's the one that goes in there herself and she's like, all right, you guys, screw you guys, if you scared by your clones, I'll
Yeah.
do it myself.
Yeah. I think I got to give credit where it's due. The cast was all entertaining enough that I only sometimes felt it was a little strange that all three characters were like choosing to keep looking for answers in this.
But that's part of what this film does so well in its blending of genres, because you get science fiction, you get mystery, you get comedy, and you know, it's also a little creepy sometimes, but it really just takes all of these different filmmaking and thematic concepts
George,
and sort
you
of
should watch They Live.
thank you
It
for the
just describes
recommendation, Ben. I always appreciate your recommendations. Text it to me because I will forget.
okay.
But you know, this film, it just presents so many different genres that in different combinations we've seen work really well before. And now one of the reasons why this film felt so fresh to me is because it takes all of those genres and plays them up really well. And I said it before, it just complements itself in a way that is unique and that maybe I haven't seen in a long time or ever maybe, and presents a film that it's a fun watch.
I know you haven't seen, no, did you watch Get Out, George?
I haven't seen it yet, no.
Yeah,
you should watch some Jordan Peele if you like this film.
yeah.
I don't want to say it's
All
like
right.
extremely derivative of it, but they're very similar, like vibes.
Yeah, in my reading about this film, just in preparation for the pod, it drew comparisons to the works of Jordan Peele, Academy Award winner Jordan Peele.
Amen.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll check it out. 6 years late on Get Out, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's a good film.
Doesn't matter if I've seen them, it matters that I've seen them.
You can go tell people that you saw Get Out, you know, at random points in the
Who would
conversation.
I tell, Declan? This is where I talk about movies.
I'm pretty sure you would be one of the characters in Get Out if you went up to like black people and were like, "Hey, I've seen Get Out."
Yeah,
You would literally
exactly.
be one of
Yeah,
those
that
guys.
doesn't sound like something I would do.
No, I hope not.
It's also not a compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go see it. It's a good film. You know?
It's okay. I'm a white person. I've seen Get Out. I understand.
Oh, Benjamin.
Would have voted for Obama for a
Yeah, I
third.
would have voted for Obama for the third time. I'm a big fan of rap music.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
no,
It's amazing how
it's a great time, George. It's very funny.
it's amazing how
It's Jordan Peele. He was a comedy writer first.
Yeah.
yeah yeah.
But it's a nice blend of everything, like you were talking about this film. A lot of his films are like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, yeah,
I do think the one like I would say ultimately like they Clone Tyrone's biggest flaw is that what's the name of the writer director like or well I think the
Paul Thomas
person
Anderson.
was it
Paul Thomas Anderson.
yeah Paul Thomas Anderson that's I very much got Paul Thomas Anderson no I the person who
Taylor.
directed this also wrote it but I'm blanking on
Jewel
their
Taylor.
name. Jamal Taylor?
Jewel Taylor.
Jewel Taylor. Thank you. Sorry, I appreciate that. Anyway, Jewel Taylor, I feel like ultimately its biggest flaw is that Jewel Taylor isn't as talented at writing as people like Jordan Peele. Like still great.
I mean,
I feel like
that's a tough comparison to give a directorial
yeah.
debut.
That is true. That is very true. Like,
and also, you know, we talked about the strength of the cast, and Declan, you mentioned how much they elevate the quality of the product on screen.
mm-hmm.
They elevate the script.
Mm-hmm.
Their combined chemistry in each moment. You know,
I
would
wonder,
not be surprised if there were moments that were improvised, and the dialogue.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there were. I wonder which moments.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
I mean, just in my own, you know, one-time directing of a script that I wrote, just going through some of the footage that I've seen, it's pretty clear, at least because I know the script so well and I was on set when the actors were there. It's absolutely clear to see what was improvised and what was scripted. So,
well, I hope so.
In your film or in this film?
In my film. In this film.
Oh, well, yeah, I'd hope so. You wrote it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, I think it might show to the audience. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I haven't been an audience member for my film yet. No one has. But, you know, with this film, and, you know, you see it with, you know, I know a lot of, like, Avengers Endgame, the dialogue in that film, you know, especially
like Rhodey talking about how he's part machine, but not really.
Yeah, exactly. Improvised.
Yeah.
Declan hasn't seen Secret Invasion yet,
Kevin
so
Feige.
No.
I don't think Declan is ever gonna watch it though.
What? No, I'll definitely.
I feel like we can spoil it.
I'll definitely catch it. You know, I'll definitely.
Honestly, if I could do it again, I don't know that I would watch the show. I want to say I would stop at 5, but you can't. You can't do that. And
you
then
you gotta watch the end, and the ending sucks.
Yeah,
It's so bad.
It's horrible.
It's
so bad.
Seriously, there's one scene in that 6th episode, and Ben and Max, you guys know what scene I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's quite literally the worst Marvel Studios has ever been. And it's not particularly close.
This is like I feel like I need to just like emphasize this. This is George saying this.
No, it's terrible.
I have given
8%. 8% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's horrid.
Wow.
I have given Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige a lot of slack over the last couple of years.
I'm
not forgiving them for this one.
Yeah. Despite the jokes, we're not Marvel haters. So just to hear George say that.
Yeah, no, it's.
This makes me so nervous.
It's just like wow.
Because
this is supposed to
tie
into
the Marvels. This is supposed to lead into and tie into the Marvels, and this makes me so scared.
We'll deal with that when it comes.
Yeah, we'll see in 3 months when we talk about the Marvels.
If it's bad, just go see They Cloned Tyrone, and you'll get your Tiana Paris face.
You know that's a good point. That's a good point.
Okay. That's all that matters.
We got to keep that in our back pocket. That like just rewatching They Clone Tyrone again is okay.
But you know what? Keep speaking of keeping it in our back pocket, this film's, $1.59. It's not, your standard 90-minute comedy or whatever. It doesn't feel like 2 hours, and I feel like that's going to make it super rewatchable.
Yeah.
This is a movie that I would watch multiple times. I don't know if I would watch it tonight after watching it a couple nights ago, but I'm not going to wait 5-10 years after seeing it once to see it again. I'm excited to watch it again, in the next couple of months.
I would say it doesn't drag. I would say it does feel like 2 hours, at least to me, just because you have the typical thing with the arc where there's the 30-minute like conclusion, which typically don't really get with a 90-minute film. So everything's more condensed, but they definitely have that like stop around like 40-30 minutes where they find their clones and they're all depressed and they have to like get together and be like, all right, let's do this, and then they come up with a plan. I don't mean it as a bad thing, but I just mean like it definitely feels like a full length movie, not like a
I
1
want to
hour
talk.
30-minute film.
Fair enough. I want to talk about one more character before we wrap up here. Kiefer Sutherland's Nixon.
Guy's such an asshole.
Because he's not the mastermind.
Mhm.
He's also, from what we know, not a clone. He's just kind of part of it. He's like an enforcer,
Yeah.
but like so much more sadistic than I think the original Fontaine is, and then
He
any
seems
of
like
the
one of those like
are.
black book, CIA agents or something. It's like the government contracts them, but they're not.
But it's
really
the fucking designated survivor himself. How are we? I did not believe him as this type of character at all.
The designated survivor infiltrated the government
Oh my
successfully and is now
Honestly, I thought he was a
conducting
pretty good asshole.
experiments.
I believe.
Oh
him as
yeah,
an
yeah,
asshole.
no.
He was a
He did
good
a great
asshole.
job.
I just didn't buy him as, a government, agent other than who he was in Designated Survivor.
Dude, what about Jack Bauer? What the hell's wrong with you? Who says designated survivor?
I was making a joke, Ben. Come on.
That wasn't immediately clear. I will
Yeah,
say.
I legitimately thought. Look, George, sometimes
I
people see
did not
Okay,
pick up.
okay, I'm sorry. I should have
Look,
been
some
more
people
clear.
like designated survivor.
Yeah. I was legit thinking like, wow, George is a big designated survivor.
But
Man. Holy
it's
shit.
funny because his dad used to be like that too, where it's like he's a good guy in tons of things, and then he
Oh yeah.
had to be a bad guy, especially in like the Hunger Games. I'm like, but that's charming, nice Donald Sutherland.
Yeah.
That's not correct.
That's Donald Sutherland from Animal House and Donald Sutherland
Whoa.
from The Italian Job. That's Donald Sutherland.
He's such a nice guy in like most of his films.
Hey, I mean, guy's got range.
True.
No, he does.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think Kiefer was fine as that.
Mhm.
I believe it.
He really
I
only
loved
gets
his
two
scene
scenes
where he was
to like show off.
Yeah, but he's such a jackass. Like the first scene we see him, he pulls, comes out of the car. Is like put the gun in your mouth. I don't know. He's kind of evil. I believe
It's
this.
sadistic as hell, man.
I know. I believed it.
He's sadistic, but in like an almost mundane way, where he's like not like it's not like every single moment he's existing, he like lives for evil. So that when
like
he does something really evil, I feel like it like adds to it.
Well, I feel like he kind of seemed like I don't know, one of those guys with a voodoo doll, like putting it a little bit in fire and taking it out. It's like,
yeah,
I just want to show you how much I have control over you.
But hey, it's got a huge, that first scene when he steps out of the car in front of the crowd, huge implications later on. And that moment where Fontaine has Chester kill the original,
yeah,
it's fun to watch. It's cathartic for the character.
Also a bit of a design flaw in their part to like
design flaw.
Let anyone be able to say Olympia Black. It's like
they should probably have like a failsafe. It's like this guy cannot kill the head of the program.
or other clones can't control him.
Yeah,
it's probably a good idea.
I mean, there's a reason why villains' plans fail most of the time.
True. Let that be a lesson to all of you.
To be fair, his plan was terrible, so
yeah,
it surprised me.
Yeah.
There's that as well.
Anything else on They Cloned Tyrone?
Go
See
check
it.
it out.
Yeah.
Definitely worth the time on Netflix.
Yeah, no, definitely
Enjoy
worth
it. It's a
Yeah.
fun couple of hours.
Oh yeah.
So, They Cloned Tyrone is currently streaming on Netflix. Feel free to enjoy it and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that jazz. We will see you next week. Have a good night, everyone.
All
All
right,
right.
everyone.